Hey, class culture, it is brown paper bag day. Hey! Come on, hey, come on, Google, YouTube, social media. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna. Come on, retirement. Hey! I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna class so good. Hey! Yes! Welcome back to Class Culture. Can you believe it is July the 12th? Can you believe it is a beautiful summer day here in San Francisco? Gigi Darling said, you know what? This weekend will never ever come back again. So Gigi Darling told her boss yesterday, I'm taking the weekend off. Yes, I did. And it's Wimbledon. Now, shout out to the winner because half my family is Polish, so that's fine. But shout out to the American women that are in the top 10 and are doing just fine. They're young ladies. We'll see them more. And I wanted Anna to win, and she did not, but that's okay because I got to sleep in last night. We got to watch movies. I found a new, real crime page that I had to make myself go to bed because it was so good. So, and look, social media, YouTube, Google, especially content creators like Gigi Darling are really getting the win. Okay. It is like a shiny brown paper bag with candies and cookies inside, like when I was a child. I'm going to wrap it all up together. But I want to say thank you, Hearts of Gold. Whenever you watch this, okay? Shout out to the replay crew. Shout out to the comeback and watched it again and again to crew. Shout out to the members. Shout out to the membership content that is coming to my channel. Shout out to everyone. Day ones, 1,000, 2,000. Come on, subscribe. I don't know what it is because we're beauty, no beef anymore. But I don't know what it is, Hearts of Gold. We're just going to cultivate and curate newness and new people because sometimes people think that what they're keeping away and, and not going along is hindering, and it's not. Every time I wake up, I get between 100 and 400 views, and I'm slowly, surely adding videos back that are in the educational realm, in the information realm, in the I didn't fake it to make it genre, because YouTube is saying no. It's saying no to AI. It's saying no to trolls and avatar pages. I think it's coming for the panels next. Yeah, I do. I do. Um, like I said, Hearts ago, I don't understand people that are moderators and they don't get love, money, or attention. So, no on that. I don't understand people that spend hours on panels. That's like performing on somebody else's stage and only one person gets paid. I don't understand that energy. I'm not a part of that. I never understood why the merge wasn't on the positive tip and it was just on the negative tip. Destroy, destroy, lie, lie, dox, dox, commit crime, crime. I didn't understand that. I will watch court TV. I don't want to be in a court regarding somebody. I don't know. I never subscribe to that. So I just relaxed, took my time, stopped typing. After 12 years of typing, don't you think I needed a break? Oh, yeah. And I'm still going to enjoy these next 2 weeks. Me and Quack Quack, because everybody, I'm just having fun, y'all. Why should I keep in YouTube and Google and StreamYard? Come on, it's like, hi Gigi, what happened? Now they trying to, instead of $44, now they trying to give it to us for 35. I'm like, no, I'm gonna see if that deal is still there for next month. Why should I pay? Nobody else is paying. Everybody got the duck in the quack quack up in the corner. I'm like, I'm just here massaging my channel, talking about what I want to talk about, letting the bots know I'm still here, and earning my due. Okay. So let's talk about Brown Bag Day. Now, we're not going to go negative. Why negative? Why? I like a brown bag. I don't attach it to horror. Okay. When I was a little girl, shout out to the old heads, the boomers, and everyone older than me. We're doing it. When I was a little girl, we still could go to the candy store. Maybe you and a buddy, you and an older sibling, you and a cousin that had came by because your mama, sister, they wanted to gossip and they sent you to the store to get some bread or something. So when I was little, it was still safe to do that. And there was a candy store. They don't have those anymore. Shout out to where you can go and get your yum yum, you know. But when I was little, there was still that sort of nod to the old general store, mom and pop. We used to pass the candy store, the ice cream spot. Man, it was huge when Burger King had opened on Livernois and Grand River. That was huge. It was right next to the library. So, oh yes, I saved up all my pennies. I got me that burger. I used to love a cheeseburger. I was a little cheeseburger monster. That was just my little treat. It was never meant to be dinner. And my mom and I would talk about that. It was always a treat because when and if, and I couldn't tell you the last time I ate at a fast food joint, but when and if we did, especially growing up as a kid, it was a treat. It wasn't, oh, that's dinner. And even now, when I do go get a burger or some fries, I think it was French fry day the other day. I don't know. I'm picking just topics I want to put on my story time. It never filled me up, even as an adult. If I go get some burgers or we hang out and we hit a Denny's or somewhere, I'm the one. I might be small, but baby, I could eat a whole pizza by myself. I'm the one buying 2 burgers and they're mine. Okay. I remember one time, I'm probably telling on myself. I owe some money to my classmate. Back in film school, well, this classmate had a scene where the lady bit the burger, but you can't keep the same burger. You got to replace it. So they bought like 5 burgers. I slipped one. I did. I was like, oh, shame on me, I'm hungry. And look, he had shot all 4. And he was like, and nobody was saying that. He was like, I know there was a 5th one. We were like, you don't need a 5th one. He was like, okay, you're right. You're right. Because, when you're in film school, you're trying to get everything right. Baby, I ate that burger. I was starving. Starving. Okay, so that's another thing. That's to me what fast food is about. It's not to replace something. It's just to get you over that hangry, you know. But anyway, back to the candy store. That was my thing. And back then, hearts ago, they had candy in jars and you picked which one you wanted. And you could spend hours and hours and it was fun and it was safe. And the candy man or the candy lady or the candy shop was a safe place for children. That was the point because they know their mama and daddy had sent them there with that money in their pocket. So they were nice and pleasant and not pervy or nothing. When you got a bad energy, you would just run away from somebody. No, it wasn't that. It was like we gotta be there. I had to be at that candy store almost every day. Okay? Because I told y'all about the store on the corner on the way to school. We couldn't go there no more when arcades had moved in and the crime had started, you know. Shout out to Dugan. I hope he wins governor of Michigan. He really, really saved Detroit. He really did. But anyway, and it breaks my heart. San Francisco to me is what Detroit would have been. It's almost the same thing, except Great Lakes, ocean. It's almost the same thing. Islands, Belle Isle, Canada, you know, Mexico. It's almost the same thing. But anyway, back to the candy store. So Gigi Darling would hold on to her pennies and her nickels, and every once in a while I would get a dime. You know, like a sibling would ask me to do something. I put my little hand out. Okay, and they, you know how it was. You always gave the kids a little allowance, and I used to put it in my little pocket. And at the end of the day, I would take all my coins. I'm still fascinated by coins, but anyway, I hope they don't stop the penny. I love the penny. The penny is, it's just, it's a souvenir. Leave it alone. And I would go to that candy store. So imagine that, not the big lunch bags. No, we're talking, I'm focused on, shout out to all the bags and the designer bags and all of that. No, I'm talking about the small little candy bag like that in the Avatar. I always had a candy bag. And we would talk about that too. And I told her, I said, you know what? One day I was in the VA, right, getting my checkups and plumbings. And my doctor was like, do you want to stay at the clinic? Because you don't have to have certain scans or whatever. Because if they ask you to go draw some blood, then here in San Francisco, because the clinic is separate from the hospital, okay, you would get on the van and go do your due. But she was like, you know what you need today? You can just get done here in the clinic. I said, oh, thank you. You know, and this was during lockdown and everybody had masks and things. So, and they would only let certain people in, like Gigi, that they know they could trust, right? I sat at the table and she gave me the red ball. And, you know, they're really, really nice, the people that are working there. I said, you know, I'm not that I'm scared of blood, but when the needle happened and it's going in my body, I'll flinch. So I'm going to look away. So, and I can have a whole conversation while they're doing it, you know, and it happens. That's all I need. I said, just do it, make it happen. And I looked over to my right. You know how you're just looking at all the things and, you know, the tissues and the gloves and the cotton balls. You know, you're just neat and tidy and smelling good. It was a pile of paper baby bags. And I said, oh, like that. And she was like, what? And she looked over, you know, you can imagine she works every day like, what are you talking about? And I'm special in here. I'm like, oh my I said, oh, I just had a moment. It's nostalgic and it's about my childhood. She said, tell me. Oh my God. I had her in tears. She was like, oh my God, that is the best story ever. And I had told her all about the candy store and how I always had it in my hand, and it was cute. It was, I never folded it over. You know, I was a little tomboy running around, and I always gripped it. So the top was like twisted, you know, like my hand was the tie and it was twisted and it was poking up at the top. I would be so proud of that candy bag and I would go to school with it. And, you know, eventually after 2 or 3 days, it would fall apart. And then I would go back and get me some more candy. Baby, I'm surprised. After a while, my mother told me she had to make sure I brushed my teeth and everything. I knock on everything because I have a dental appointment coming up. At my big age, I still have my teeth in my mouth. But I was good at, even now, I'm good at brushing my teeth. And uh, look, before you brush your teeth, just take a tissue and wipe. You'll be surprised how much plaque just comes off that way. But anyway, then brush it. Because what's the point in having it in your mouth and you're swishing it around? Ugh. And then I use peroxide and a baking soda. I'm gonna start using it more. I used to skip a day here and there, but you know what? Why not? Just use it every day. Your mouth gonna be raw. Eat your breakfast first and then do it, right? But I just had a moment, and that was what, 2021, 2022. And yes, anytime I go to the clinic, I check in because why are those paper bags there? Well, they're there if and when a doctor or, you know, the clinician, I'm not sure what their title is, the people who draw the blood, for something, phlebotomist or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not that. My daughter's a scientist. Go ask her. But anyway, if they have to give you a Tylenol, or if they can fill a prescription there or whatever, they want to give you some gauze. It's just like a little paper bag. That's why they're there. But they were so cute and nostalgic and just gave me a moment because, yes, my dad was, I have good memories of him. And yes, he's a part of my military journey and enlisting and being a part of heroism and earning my stripes and using my benefits and just living on planet Earth in a happy, positive way and marrying a wartime hero and all of that matters to me. So those are little moments that make me feel good. Those are my treats. I don't have to get things from other people. Isn't it interesting? And I earned the little candy money. I shared. I played jacks and Keno with my penny candy. We used to call it penny candy, right? We used to play, shout out to Mama Lucy. We used to play uh, Keno, but with candy. So sometimes I would come home with bags of candy. It was like bartering, and I didn't eat all the candy, you just had it. Now, nowadays, they have video games, trading cards, plastic fantastic little figurines and things, but that's expensive. Candy is, I don't know, it's gourmand. It is back in, back, in the realm of the courts and the kings and the queens. Only gentry, only, you know, aristocrats and royalty had access to sugar or delicacies and ribbon candy. And so as I grew up becoming an adult and having my own children, I made sure they experienced that too, because that's your childhood. Those are good memories. The kids, well, the twins, but my children, they weren't really big on baked goods. They loved candy too. And they had their own favorites. My daughter loved butterscotch, because I would make sure that in Sacramento, California, especially when we came back to the States, because, in Deutschland, Germany, they have all types of nostalgic candy stores that were owned by families from 500 years ago. We would drive by a little country town and it would say, we're celebrating our 1100 year. The USA is a little baby country, right? And, Germany, especially during the holidays, is huge with candy and peppermints and ancient recipes and numminess and bonbons. It's fabulous. But back to me raising my children, I made sure they had that same experience. Okay. I made sure we would stop by in Sacramento. They have an old fashioned candy store. I make sure every time, me as an adult, when I do my spa, I go to a particular spot. I might disclose one day, and they have an old fashioned candy store. There used to be a time where certain candies weren't available before the dollar store. Remember? Remember when dollar stores started opening up late 19, early aughts? And that dollar store opened up in Vacaville, California, baby. As a mom of two, newly divorced, raising preteen tweens, we needed that store, right? Toilet paper, uh, napkins. We would go to the movie. I would take the big purse so they had a candy because I couldn't afford $5, $6 for everybody. There would be every trip to the movie would be $100. There's three of us. I couldn't do it, right? But it all stemmed from my parents. And think about it, hearts ago. Prior to the 60s and the 70s, African American women, men, and or children didn't have access to that stuff. You know, our dads and granddads and uncles went to the war and were sort of kind of rewarded. Unfortunately, you know, the Vietnam War was a different thing. Nobody really in my family had to participate in that. But this type of life, this type of living, this American dream, that they were living it in the 60s and the early 70s. Yes, they were. And it was good. And I'm glad I have those memories. And I was a part of that. So back to the VA hospital, because I was enlisted in both the Air Force and the Navy. Go over to the podcast. I have a whole podcast. I get to go to the VA and take advantage of my benefits because my hard work and all the stripes and skill sets I earned. And here I am being rewarded. To me, that was a nod from my daddy and my mom. Because without their permission and without their resourcefulness of living in a particular neighborhood where they could raise their children, all their children college educated, all their children had jobs, all their children moved away, had adult relationships and marriages and children. All their children, most of them had their own businesses. We all was living that life. Okay? I encourage you, hearts to go, to focus on the what look, I do crafts. So every time I find a little brown bag and I want to keep it, I keep it and I use it in a craft project. So I encourage everybody get those little tiny brown bags, not the lunch bags, and use them. Some people use them for weddings. Some people use them for lanterns. You can get anything off Amazon Prime. Look, it's hard to boycott Amazon Prime. I'm sorry, I can't be boycotting no Amazon Prime. I boycotted Target, but baby, I had to go back yesterday. Okay. So get you some fun. It's the weekend. Love yourself, love your children, love your legacy, love the opportunity to say, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. Get rid of plastic, y'all. Don't use plastic. Use reusable. That's another thing, brown bags. Every time I go to Trader Joe's, I make sure I get my brown bag. Okay. So please, hearts of gold, reward Gigi Darling for all her hard work. Subscribe. Stay subscribed. It doesn't matter if I'm not doing content that I used to do. I'm doing newness. Okay? And don't get mad if I have to go away and find some new folk and bring them back over here. I deserve that, right? Just like I deserved that bag of candy when I was a little girl, just like I deserve to raise my kids in the same way, and just like I deserve as a whole adult, a whole senior, a whole old hat, a whole veteran, a whole Eastern Star, to still enjoy a beautiful little cute, quaint, charming brown bag. Okay.